What's up, guys? Today I get the chance to add Cassandra Gay Peterson to my shelf, and I couldn't be happier. So this is a NECA figure I was not expecting. I mean, yeah, I've seen them do quite a bit now. I bought the Freddy Krueger. I bought, specifically I believe I bought the one from part 2. Not my favorite of the Freddy movies, by far. If I had to pick, I'd say that the Freddy that I would personally want on my shelf is either part 1, part 4, or Freddy vs. Jason. I think that those were some of the best makeup and times for him. But if I'm not mistaken, I saw the figure for part 4. Maybe it's part 3. I think is it part 5? I'm not sure. I think it's the part 4 figure. He has the chest where it's all the screaming souls and he's got it open, and it's not my favorite one. So I bought 2 because I thought it had the best body cap of the Freddys that I saw. I just thought it looked good on my shelf. I wish he had the actual glove, but hey, that's what it is. Now, there's a couple of Jasons that I would want to put on my shelf from NECA. Another thing that I would really want from NECA is I would be really cool to have both the monster, I'm talking about the Frankenstein movie, the monster, not Frankenstein. We're not going to go into that whole thing, but the monster doesn't have a name, he's the monster, yada yada. Or, I would like the monster and I would like the bride, but I don't believe NECA has done the bride. At least, if it has, I don't think it's done it in the same format, so it wouldn't be scaled properly. It's just the way that it is. But there are other things that I've seen with NECA that should have kind of cued me into the fact that they can do pretty much anything. I mean, let's be honest here. When you're digging into things like bringing me Gremlins and whatnot, which I guess that still falls into the horror realm, but then, if we want to go a little bit over here, there's like Back to the Future characters and things like that they're doing. So NECA is pretty much not tied down at all. They're just doing movie stuff, pop culture stuff, and that's awesome. That's awesome. And so, why in the world did I not see it coming? Even for a millisecond, I never, ever thought they would do Elvira. I just never saw that coming. But thankfully, they did. Because if there's a character that's worthwhile putting on my gaming shelf, my movie shelf. I don't know why I said that. My movie shelf, it is, without a doubt, Elvira. This character was awesome. Like, okay, so when I was growing up, there was the horror host thing, which I remember a couple of them offhand. And maybe it's fair to say that they were already done by the time I was growing up. Because, so I was born all the way back in '84, and as I grew up, the horror hosts were pretty much already dead. But there were still a couple of them that would be on certain television programs and things like that. And that's specifically where I remember seeing her for the first time, as she would introduce these scary movies. Scary, sometimes not scary movies, sometimes the worst possible B-roll movies that you could watch, but it was fun to watch them because they were bad. I used to enjoy sitting around and being like, are you serious? What is this? And then you would get these little introductions and midpoints with her where she'd talk about them and everything, and it just blew me away. And then it was enough that I saw her there. And then it kind of made her this little cultural icon that I was into. But then, she started making appearances all over the place. She got her own movie, multiple movies. Like, this character exploded. And I love this character. I love her so much. I love her unapologetic, sexy female ism, I guess, is the best way that I could put it. She's sexy, she's feminine, she's proud, she is not a ditz. That's another thing, too, that I really, really like about her, is she's, for the most part, she's played serious like an Addams Family character. And that's the thing that gets me about it. It's that she's this dark, she's this super feminine, super sexy, dark, unapologetic, confident figure. And I'm just drawn to it. I just think she's fantastic. And yes, I'm completely aware she's gay. I don't know so much about this character, because character-wise, she might be straight, looking at a lot of the different things that I've seen in terms of her, when she plays that character specifically and everything, but the actual actress herself is gay. And you know what? Great, because that actress in general is a powerful icon for the gay community and has been a massive supporter of it, and 100% supporter of it for years. It blew me away when I started looking up her life and how she lived and the things that she did. Like, I never would have guessed, and I should have, because I can look right at her and I can see it. But when, years ago, from what I understand, she was doing things like she was trying to be an actress and everything. She became kind of like a showgirl and yada yada. But what really kind of brought her into her own and made her who she was when she accidentally stumbled into a bar and saw a drag show. And then she got to talking with these people. And then she became friends with these people. And then she actually was on stage with them. Yes, she did drag shows. She was a woman playing a man playing a woman. Yeah. And she even dedicated her first movie, the first movie specifically for Elvira, she dedicated that movie to one of her good friends, specifically the man that helped her design this character and was an absolute pillar in her life and was really important to her. And she just, the more I looked up over time, this isn't like I just learned this yesterday, but over time, I've come across facts here and there, and it just blew me away. The more I learned about her, the more interested I was in her. Like, you gotta hand it to Peterson. You gotta hand it to her to be able to keep control of this character. And from what I understand, she barely got it too. She was very much trapped in the same kind of situation everybody else is. They own the character, she wants to play the character, and then they have to renegotiate her contract every so often. When they renegotiate her contract, she'd say, either give me a raise or give me more control of the character. And she knew what she was doing. She knew that by playing the long game, eventually this character would be hers. She needed more and more and more control over it to do what she wanted to do with it. And I think it just blows me away how she was able to play the long game, because she knew that the company she was with was too cheap to give raises. So they started giving her little things like, yeah, you can do this, yeah, you can do that, yeah, you can have merchandising rights, yeah, this, yeah, this, yeah, this, before finally she just straight up bought the character. It was her character, and it should have been from the start. This is a success story if I've ever seen one. I'm telling you, look up her life. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. She would make a fantastic biography movie. Like, she really would. A biopic, I believe they call it. I really honestly believe she would be fantastic, because her life is kind of extraordinary. And I love when people that create a character that is very blatantly, that character is never going to work without them. I love for them, the creative person in which makes a property, to own a property. And she had to fight for it, but thank God she did. Because Elvira would not be the character that Elvira is without her, and without her owning it to be able to do the things that she wants to do. And because, from what I understand, she owns the character the way she does, every single time you buy something that has her on it, you're paying her. And you know what? That's the way it should be. I'm okay with companies getting a piece of things, but when you're a company like Saban, and I'm not trying to start a war here, but let's be honest, Saban made one of the largest properties on the planet, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It was huge when we were growing up. And the kids whose faces were plastered all over the place, because it wasn't just that they sold a Red Ranger or a Blue Ranger or a Pink Ranger and they had just the helmets, and so whatever, you could argue that back to, well, you know, that's just the Super Sentai toys repackaged for America. No, they were even making flip heads and things like that where they were very blatantly using the actors' likenesses, and from what I understand, those kids got nothing. That is wrong. It is wrong in every single sense of the word. So when I see a success story of a person whose life actually led to the creation of a character, because without her life experiences doing things with the gay community and being a part of the drag shows and learning that culture and being a part of that world, this wouldn't even exist. And to see her gain control and own that character and make so much proper use of it and get paid fairly throughout the course of her life because of something that she blatantly created. The company didn't create that. She created that. And I love a success story like that because it gives me hope that maybe someday, later on, when I finish some of the projects I'm working on, that is inspiration to hang on to what's mine. And as companies say, well, you could get this, but we'll own this, just hold out. Just hold out and find another way. Keep control of what's yours, especially if you're a creative. And if you've got to get off the ground and you've got to lose part of it, make sure there's a plan to get it back. And oh my gosh, she's fantastic. Let's check her out. By the way, if you can't tell, it's not just that I love Elvira. I love Cassandra. She's so fantastic. And yes, I have met her multiple times. I've met her, I say multiple, I've met her twice at 2 different conventions, and she was fantastic. And I remember quite substantially the first time I met her was also the very first time I ever got to meet Robert Englund, and so it was a day for me. It was a day. Anyways, let's check her out. Alright, here we are down at the table, and this is the box, and I kept this tag on there. I'm going to try to remove it, but the store that I found her at had that tag on her, and I'm going to try to get rid of that tag. This might be one of the boxes that I keep and kind of use as like one of those, just kind of like the thing, like the display in the back or whatever. I don't know 100%, but I am considering it, honestly, and I gotta get rid of this without there being too much of a stain or anything like that left on the box. We'll see what I can do. Let's move the camera up a little bit. But anyways, here we are, Elvira, the front of the box. This is fantastic. I really like this whole layout right here. It's just really cool. I love that her character comes across with the label and everything, and then she comes up into this, and the box kind of goes off into that. I really like that a lot, actually. That's really well done. The side right here, very, very good likeness. And that's the character portrait right down there of the figure, which is nice because it gives you a kind of glimpse into the real person, into the toy, and you can see how well the crafting was actually done right there. And the fact that we are on a windowed box, so you can very much see that anyhow. So going around to the back, this is the figure 100%. So there's nothing but the figure back here, and it really showcases how well the figure is made when you've got it right back here, and it could pass for an actual likeness, an artist representation at the very least. It's fantastic. Going around to the other side, I believe this is the same as the other side was. And then, of course, we have an Elvira right here at the top. And then at the bottom, it's it's like signed. It's not a real signature, of course, so I mean, you get what I'm getting at, but you could take this, and it would be cool to take one of these and get it signed by her. I'm sure that would be really cool. And it wouldn't look out of place on the box depending on where you got her to sign it. Like, if you got her to sign it like right here, like under this, and she signed across right here in the hairline, it would look like part of the box. And this box really loans itself to that kind of idea. In fact, when I open this one, I may consider that if I see that she's going to be at another convention, I don't know what the possibility of that is. She still stays pretty active, but she's getting older, and certain people only do cons for so long. If there's a chance, maybe I'll even buy a second one of these that I never open, that I specifically get signed by her. I don't know. I just really like this. I really think this is fantastic. And we're just at the box part. I haven't even opened it yet. So let's do that. Let's do the meat and potatoes. Let's open it up and check her out. Okay, there was an insert in the box. It's just this nice little fog area or whatnot. You could take a couple pictures. I might do a couple of them. She came with a stand, which I was not expecting. And it's pretty cool. It's got this little thing here. It looks like it's been signed. I don't think that's real. I'm almost 100% that's printed on the plastic. I don't believe that that's real. But it is a cool little effect nonetheless, and it guarantees that that stand is just a little bit different than the other stands that you would have. So, once again, they did this right. I love when they just have me so I can just pop it right out of there. I love this big, ridiculous 80s wig. I love it. I love it so much. It's so good. I love that face. That's fantastic. She looks so great. I love that they kept that mark on there. So good. She comes with this skull that's crazy. I don't know exactly what this is from. I keep wondering if this is from something that I don't know. Was this part of the set from years ago? I don't know 100%. But if it is, it's really cool, and it's just goofy. It's cool because it's eerie and it's goofy and it's scary, but it's goofy, and that's part of what she is too. And I mean, as in terms of her as well, is she likes goofy, scary movies and whatnot. She's got this dagger thing right here, and she also has this cup of spooky brew. I don't know what this is, but it's really cool. This chalice here, and it's really good. It's super detailed. Like, but you come to expect that from NECA, I think. They do a really good job with just how much detail they're able to get into a figure that only costs like 40 bucks. And so let's do it. I'm going to pop her out of here now. There she goes. Oh, nope, she is actually tied in. We're going to have to cut these. Okay, here we are. There she is. So, couple of things. This dress is a real dress. Let's put this back on. And I did not mean to do that, but you just saw that the dress part, it's a real dress, so you can move it around. You can get as much or as little of this cleavage part as you want. And I guess a bonus to that is they did not go full sculpt on this. So you're not going to come across one of those weird situations where if you have this in your house and you have little ones or whatever, or youngers, and they're not going to come across a thing where they're like, they pull it down and they see something. That's not a thing. This figure was not interested in doing something like that, and it shouldn't be, because that's not what the character is about to begin with. Yes, she's sexy. Yes, I mentioned that she's unapologetic about it, but that's never been... how do I put this? It's interesting to see the difference between people that understand the character and write for her and people that don't. Because people that don't understand will often make 1,000 boob jokes, and that's the only thing that they're very much interested in. And the more you watch, the more you understand the character, the more you tend to figure out that that's never been the focus of the character. It just happens to be part of the character, not the focus. So she has a lot of trouble standing up here. I'm working on that. This is all painted right here. So this isn't like actual nylon or anything like that, which of course makes sense. That's fine. I'm 100% fine with that. The dress is real and it's nice. Like it's got this cut down here across the bottom. I love the way that opens for the leg. I love this thing you can get with the effect here because you could put her hand up. And how much wrist does she have? Does she have, oh, yep. So her wrist goes back that way, so she can even kind of get a thing going on like this, where that's actually cool, because then it allows for this all to fray out and everything like that, and you can really see the detail. And she's got this ring, so she's got a ring. She's got the black nail polish, which is done really well. Same on this hand, but of course no ring. But they paid close attention. They got her wrists, so they got all like the jewels and everything like that, like the wrist yada yada bracelets. She's got that big 80s hair, that big 80s hair wig right here, which I believe, on a personal note, I think it the 80s wig thing, the big, giant, crazy 80s wig, I personally have always thought that comes from the drag show background stuff. I honestly do think that. I think that that's where she got the idea for the big hair, and it really works. It sets Elvira apart and makes her something that's completely unique, because they could have very much, from what I understand, the original idea for this character was for her to be the daughter of Vampira, and then I guess after they kind of started getting it off the ground, Vampira, the woman who did that, did not like her, did not like the comedy or the horror of it or whatever, and did not enjoy the Elvira character at all, and so they distanced themselves from that concept almost immediately and took a whole different route and pretty much left it to Cassandra to create Elvira, and she did. She very much did. Over the years, she created exactly what this character was, could be, and is. And man, this being a real dress, you're going to have to play with it and get it exactly where you want it, because every time I move her, those things are coming out. But I guess you expect that, and like I said, there's really no harm or no foul in it, because when you do move her around, they're not fully sculpted. You're not going to come across that problem, which is good. I don't know what kind of pose I'm going to take for her when I finally get her where I want her to be. I know that this part right here, I think you can actually, yeah, I think that's actually what that's intended for, is I think that part of her dress. And I'd have to look at it again, because I don't remember there being a knife at that part of the dress. But you know, maybe it's just something that I overlooked many, many times, because it is there. And it is, I think it's there. I think it's right there. So maybe it's something that I missed over the years, but they didn't miss it, and thankfully they didn't, because that's cool that they went out of their way to include it. So let's get it on her character. Let's push it all the way in, and there it is. Now that's a staple of the costume, and now I'm going to notice that forever. And you know what? That's another part of action figures that I love so much. It all the time. I love action figures because I love this intimate moment with a figure where you kind of lay down with it, or whatever. You get the idea, you lay it down, you look all over its stuff, and you see all the intimate little details that some of these figures have. Things that you really don't notice about something. I've seen hundreds of pictures of her. I've seen her in different things where she appears and talks about stuff and does interviews with late shows and things like that, and I never once noticed that she had like a knife. I don't know why, but I don't think I ever noticed that ever in the entire time that I've ever thought about this character. And there it is. It's just a little extra detail that is so fabulous. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I don't know if I'm going to go for this goofy face right here. I think I am going to keep this one for right now, but I don't know. This is really fun too. If I find an actual reason for this, I very well might do a couple shots with this. And that's another thing too, is it's actually cool because the action figure photography part that I've been getting into, I have the castle set, and she'll look fantastic in the castle set. Oh yeah, it's so good. It's so absolutely wonderful. She's fantastic. She's fantastic. And so there we go. I have added Elvira to the shelf, and she's going to be really cool. You know, I didn't test any scales with her. I don't know exactly what I have around here that would go with her. You know what? You know what would go with her if it scales correctly? So I was going to say Fred Krueger, but I don't think so, unless Freddy is real small like, because they don't seem to be the right scale. How big is a Motu figure? Is Motu scales alongside Freddy? She's big. They made her big. And I'm not giving her that much. Well, here's the thing. She has that ridiculous hair. Maybe that's part of her bigness. I don't know. But I don't remember her towering over people ever. But it's still a fantastic figure. Even if I couldn't get her to scale with anything necessarily, I'm not mad about it. Because my intention is to put her on my movie shelf. That's why I bought her. There's three things I want for my movie shelf. For my movie shelf to be perfect. Of course, movies. So I guess 4 things, because of course. But I honestly did want Elvira on my movie shelf. And that is kind of a thing for me and my wife. Togetherness, I know. Oh, because that's what she's going to do. She's going to see this and she's going to be like, oh. But regardless, I want the Frankenstein's monster and the bride together on the movie shelf. I do. And so there's a couple of these figures that I've considered here and there. And you know what? He does actually have the glove. This is the perfect Freddy for me. I'm glad that I got this Freddy. I never really got to come in here and talk about it. But yeah, this is definitely the perfect Freddy for me. That's the reason I bought it. I looked at a couple of them, and this is the one that I specifically wanted. And I remember now, I got rid of the hand. He had the other hand with the fingernails. It was the finger knives, not the glove. And he has to have the glove. He has to have the glove. But yeah, that's the perfect Freddy for me. So I've already completed that part of the things that I want. I got to get a perfect Jason to go along with him. I don't know which one of those I'm going to end up getting, but I will get one of those. She's finally going to be on the movie shelf, and she looks fantastic. She's so good. So cool. I still got a lot of stuff left to open. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I don't think that you guys necessarily noticed that because I was lucky enough to have a little bit of a backlog that I could post. But I had my daughter for her summer vacation, and I got 2 full weeks with my daughter, and I took advantage of them. We played video games and hung out and watched movies and did Netflix and all kinds of stuff. And I just had an absolute fantastic time. We went out to dinner and lunch constantly, and like I made the absolute most of my time because there's only so many things that are absolutely important in your life, and to me, my daughter stands at the absolute top of what's important. So I pretty much quit the show during the time that I had during her summer break with her. But I'm back. And I'm going to start doing some videos, so expect to see videos like just the kind of same pattern that we were going at, like every day, every other day, that kind of thing, because I still got a lot to open, like a lot to open. There's a lot more fandom to talk about, and there's a lot more toys that help me talk about that fandom, and Elvira's on the shelf. I told you why she's on the shelf and what she means to me, and I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.